All right. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are from. Welcome to this ControlUp webinar about digital experience monitoring with ControlUp. So let me quickly go over a few things before I'm going to hand it over to some folks who are much more talented than I am. Today's webinar, we will go over a few topics, which I'll let the different presenters talk about that. My name is Joel Stocker, or for those people who are from the Netherlands, my name is Joel Stucker. And I'm the head of product marketing here at ControlUp. And I'll be coming back later in the webinar to talk a little bit about our proactive synthetic monitoring tool Scoutbees, and as well as to help out with the questions. So before people ask, yes, this presentation will be recorded. Yes, it will be available after. That will be in the follow-up email. If you have any questions, then put them in the questions pane, and we will try to answer them once they come in, or some of them we maybe save for the end. So there will be enough time at the end to address any of your questions. So today I'm joined by three of my colleagues, so I'll let them introduce themselves, but we have Yoni on the call who will start things off here in a minute. And then we have Shai from our product management team, as well as Trenton. By the way, for me, it's 4 a.m. in the morning. For Trenton, it's 1 a.m. in the morning. So we got an early one, but that is no problem. So we're looking forward to delivering some great content. And with that said, Yoni, I would love to hand it over to you. So let me make you the presenter.
Thanks, man, and thanks for staying up or waking up early. I'm not sure what you chose.
Waking up. Yeah, waking up. I went to bed and then got up at 3 a.m. So, but that's I'm excited for this webinar. So.
Yeah. I mean, indeed, and hopefully our audience haven't waken up at 4 a.m. They're all well rested to absorb the awesome content we have here. So, thanks, Joel, and thanks everyone for joining. My name is Yoni Vital. I'm the COO, one of the co-founders here at ControlUp. I'm very excited to do this one because, as you may know, we have been doing, providing VDI monitoring and end user computing optimization for a while now. And I think many people out there, including myself, have been waiting for Solve, for a next generation web-based interface for a long time. And I have to say that the result is actually far better than what I hoped for, which is really great. And today we're going to show some of that. So thanks for joining, and let's start. I do have a few slides just to cover the basics and make sure you guys know what ControlUp is all about. And after a few minutes, I'll jump to our new awesome Solve application. I'll give you a quick tour just to show and highlight what's included, and then I'll hand over the stage to both Trent, Shai, and Joel, who will do some deep dives around some of the cool features we have here. So just a few quick facts about ControlUp in case you guys are new to us. We've been around for a while. I'm really happy to say that we have been growing rapidly in the last few years, both from a customer perspective, partnerships, employees. It's all great. It's really awesome to see the growth. I still remember the days when we were like 8 employees here in the Israeli office. So obviously things have changed. We're truly a global company, as Joel said. He's running currently in Florida, Trent in Canada. Here we're in Israel, so we're all over the place, and hopefully opening an office in APAC as well soon. So what are the main things we do, right? So for a long time we have been focusing on VDI, right? And I'm happy to say that this is actually changing a bit this year. We're broadening our offering into the digital experience monitoring and optimization market, and we are pushing our limits into the physical endpoints market as well. Now, this will not be covered in this webinar. We're going to launch our physical endpoint support in Q2, so stay tuned for that. So today we will focus on our existing feature sets powered by Solve, the Solve Ultimate package. So from a use case perspective, we've been providing, I would say, 3 major values to our customers. So one would be real-time visibility or the ability to observe what's going on in your end-user computing environments. This includes our new proactive synthetic platform called Scoutbees, which Joe will cover later today, and I'm happy to say that this is now an integral part of Solve. Our real-time monitoring, obviously my favorite part, where we actually enable our customers to see what's happening right now across their entire VDI or end-user computing estate, and obviously historical data. And you will see today that we are starting to bring everything into the Solve interface. So obviously we started with real-time monitoring, but you will see today that we already have both Scoutbees, the proactive testing, and also some of the historical data set is available via the Solve interface. Moving beyond real-time observation and all the other visibility features, we were always providing to our customers the ability to optimize their environments. This includes manual actions, automated actions. We'll cover some of it today, but this is a crucial part of the ControlUp feature set, and obviously data analytics, right? So we use all the real-time data we collect from our customer base, and we use it for two main use cases. One is to provide each customer his own set of historical reporting, and B, we do use the anonymized data sets to create all kinds of benchmarks and recommendations for our customers. So a quick deep dive into that before we move into the demo. So as I just said, ControlUp has been focusing mainly on virtual and cloud desktops. Think about WVD, Horizon Cloud, Citrix Cloud, and in Q2 we were going to launch our physical endpoint support. So today we will focus on virtual and cloud, but bearing in mind that we are expanding into physical really soon. From a user journey perspective, I'm happy to say that these days we are covering pretty much everything, right? So if you think about end-user computing, there are three major stages you want your solution to cover. So first is proactive, right? So Scoutbees actually enables our customers to continuously test their VDI environments, their various network components, websites, web services, in order to make sure everything is up and running, regardless of the actual end users. So the typical example is obviously make sure everything is great, even at 5 a.m. in the morning before users actually start their workday. So that's the proactive part, which is covered by Scoutbees. Real time, this has been our bread and butter for a while now, and we'll see it in the demo really soon, so we'll not expand on that. And finally, historical data. And I guess the last layer that ControlUp covers is obviously the optimization part. So this has been growing as well as time goes by. Initially, we offered only the manual remediation steps of the ControlUp actions, script actions, and this has slowly developed into a massive platform that includes awesome automation features, right? So these days we can do things like automatically detect that the user latency is high or that the user input delay is off the charts, and run relevant remediation actions on the virtual desktop or the supporting infrastructure to actually optimize the user experience, which is pretty great. Just before diving into the Solve tour, I do want to quickly cover the architecture in high level. So ControlUp is a true hybrid cloud solution. We have our control plane in the cloud, which is powered by ControlUp, which includes the historical database, the new Solve modern application, the Scoutbees control plane, and other components we have that power up the ControlUp infrastructure. But we also have the ControlUp monitor cluster, which is the main component running at the customer site, right? So the monitor cluster is a set of, essentially a set of dedicated Windows servers running the ControlUp monitor.net service, which is always connected to all the data sources we can cover. So obviously our agent running inside the virtual desktops, the Windows servers, the Linux boxes, and all the other API extensions, right? So think about Citrix, XenApp as a desktop. Think about Horizon. Think about all the major hypervisors and so on. All of that is covered and is always connected to the monitor cluster. Put aside for a sec the upper left side. This is part of the physical endpoints coverage that we will launch next quarter. So what we are showing today is ControlUp Solve, which is part of our a new ultimate offering. It's a massive solution that includes ControlUp A2, which is our newest release. It includes Scoutbees, which will be covered in this webinar as well, and obviously the actual Solve application. So let's see how this looks like. Oops, okay. So what you're seeing on screen right now, this is the ControlUp Solve application, monitoring our ControlUp demo environments. And as you can see, and this is actually a big change for us over here at ControlUp, we no longer start directly with the grid views, the discovery views, but we actually enable our customers to consume high-level dashboards. So you can always start with the dashboard view and see in high level all the major stats related to your end user computing environment, right? And we offer a few out-of-the-box dashboards. I'm going to switch to the user experience one just to show you how this looks like. So you can see some, pretty interesting stats about the overall environment, how many active users are currently running, what's the average login duration. We can look on protocol latency, throughput, and so on and so forth. Now, just to explain what we're seeing here, let me expand the organizational tree. Okay, so what you see here, this is the way we logically structured this specific ControlUp organization. And let's quickly see what we have here. So on the upper side of the tree, we have the supported hypervisors, right? So obviously this is a demo environment. So we have all the supported hypervisors, which includes, vSphere, Hyper-V, Nutanix, and Citrix hypervisor. They are all supported via our API extensions. And once this is configured, we continuously collect data about the ESXi host, the Zen server host, VMs, data stores, and so on and so forth. We do support Amazon cloud connections, and we are working on an Azure integration, which will be available later this year. This enables us, quite similar to the hypervisor extension, to collect data about virtual machines running in the cloud. EUC connections, EUC environments, that's obviously one of the main API extensions we support. As you can see here, and starting with ControlUp A2, we support both Citrix CVAD on-premises, Citrix Cloud, and Horizon 7 and 8 on-premises. And we use these API extensions to collect data about the brokers, about delivery groups, desktop pools, all the major components which make the VDI estate. NetScalers, fully supported via the Nitro API. We provide data about gateways, load balancers, and so on and so forth. And obviously Linux and all the other agent-based solutions. Okay, so what you see here, for example, in our environment, we have both in the same time we're managing an Horizon environment and a Zen desktop environment. So one of the cool things about Solve is that I can always focus on one specific folder, and both the dashboards and the discovery views, which I'm going to show you next, will be automatically filtered to show me data relevant only to this specific folder. Right, so in this case, I'm looking on Horizon. We only have 3 users right now with a pretty high average login duration, and we can see the other, stats about this this environment. But if I'll go and click on Zen Desktop, you will see obviously different stats. We have more users running on our Zen Desktop 7.15 environment, and interestingly enough, we have a much lower average login duration. So, this is a quick peek on the dashboard feature. Now I'm going to drill down. I'm going to click on the active user sessions. So Solve has actually now switched into the discovery views we see here, right? So now we're no longer seeing the dashboards, but we are seeing the relevant ControlUp real-time views, right? So in this case, I'm looking on user sessions. So each line here will show one user session currently logged on into one of my VDI environments, and we have awesome data about user sessions, right? We show you the state of the session, whether it's idle or not, obviously real-time performance metrics, latency, pretty much, everything needed to know to figure out what's the current user experience, resource consumption. And last but not least, we also show you what the user is currently working on, right? So using the active app, active URL columns, we can see we can see which app is currently active in the user session and which URL you're browsing into. And yeah, it looks like, some of our users are agreeing with what I'm showing here, and indeed Solve is quite awesome. I have to agree with these guys here. So this is the sessions view, right? I'm going to remove the focus now, so we'll now see data coming in from everything we're connected to, or more precisely, everything the monitor cluster is connected to, and I can switch between these various views and see what's going on, right? And click on machines, and I will see all my agent-based machines with real-time stats and drill down just like you're familiar from our existing .NET console. The same is true for the host view and obviously the net scalers, right? So I can click on net scalers, and again, I can always drill down into the relevant resource and see which gateways or which load balancers are running on that. Last but not least, we have the EUC views, right? So in case you're managing both Citrix and VMware like we do, you can switch here between the different solutions, and Solve will automatically update the nice topology view you have here accordingly, right? So right now we're focusing on Citrix. So I'm seeing my 3 sites. We have 2 on-premises sites and 1 Citrix cloud site configured. And I can always drill down to a relevant site. And the nice thing here is that the entire Solve topology will be updated to show me stats regarding this specific Citrix site, right? So I can now tell you that under the CUXD prod site, we have 11 delivery groups currently running 14 sessions, running on 18 VDAs, and I can, switch between these different views and see what's going on, which is quite powerful by itself. Last but not least, if I'll go back here, we have Scoutbees integrated into the Solve interface. So by simply clicking on the synthetic monitoring icon here, I can now see the different scouts running in my environment. They're continuously testing my Horizon and Citrix desktops, my Office 365 portal, my vCenter, and other key components which power up my end user computing environment. So, hopefully now you guys are excited as I am about Solve. I think this is an awesome solution. It's going to transform the way people are managing end user computing. And with that, I would like to move forward with the presentation. So,
all right. So thank you, Yoni. And let me make Shai the presenter. I'm not sure. There's one question I want to ask you, or maybe this question is for Shai. So I'll bring him in as well. But there's a question about the help dashboards you showed, and if they're customizable, except for kind of like changing between user experience and all view.
You ask about the dashboards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Shai, which will jump in a sec, is actually our lead product manager who is leading the Solve application, and I know he's working hard on providing custom dashboards. So Shai, maybe you want to take this one?
Oh yeah, hi. So the dashboards at this version won't be customizable, but we're coming up next quarter with the custom dashboards feature, which will allow you to configure each one of these widgets and dashboard structure by yourself, and you can create it for your own, create it for your organization, for example. So stay tuned, it's coming up next quarter.
All right, thank you. So go ahead, Shai.
Okay, great. Yeah, the guys introduced me. My name is Shai. I'm the lead product manager responsible mainly for Solve. And this is really exciting me to see this product in its current status, and can't wait for the more features we have in coming. I wanted to deep dive a little bit with you guys about the topology, behavior, and navigation, and for a few features, new features we have on this version in 8.2. So I will start with topology, navigations, and behavior. The point with the topology is that you have many data sources monitored in your ControlUp environment, right? So we're monitoring the EUC sites, the virtualization environments, the agents themselves, so the ingest ControlUp agent, NetScalers, and more. And then the tree structure of ControlUp is useful when you want to use this hierarchy, but it never helps you to understand the relationships between the different components that ControlUp monitors. So this machine, it's hosted by the host, but it's still connected to the delivery groups, for example. And we came up with a solution for the topology that should show you the difference and and relationships with the components, and then guide you through the drill downs. So in an overview of the topology, I can see I have all my different solutions, as Yoni mentioned before. So I have the EUC side, I have the NetScalers as well, and the virtualization layer, and then the in-guest. So I have the processes and sessions. And now I'm going to show you guys how it walks me through while I'm drilling down for the specific machine or specific use case. So for this example, I would like to drill down for one of my VDAs. So I will look for it right here. Okay, so this is one of my busiest VDAs, and when hovering the machine name, now I can see even that Solve helps me to understand which data sources I have for this specific object. So I know I have for this one a VDA information, which means I'm connected to the Citrix environment of it. I have VMware information, and I have agent information, which means the ControlUp agent is installed in guest. So now, once I understand it, I want to drill down to this machine. When I drill down to this machine, of course, everything changes according to the specific machine. So the pivot now, it's only the specific machine. I can see its information. I can even see more information about the logical disk and the virtual disk, stuff that probably most of you guys already know from the console, from the real-time console. And now, for example, I still navigating and viewing the information about this specific machine. So I can see the sessions or processes for this specific machine. And if I drill even farther for one of the sessions, for example, the view changes accordingly. So I'm going to drill down to a specific session. Now I'm seeing that I'm drilling down a specific session from this VDA machine. Okay, so this is a spatial view for the VDA session, which sums up most of the relevant information that you guys need to see. And then if I pick the processes again, I see only the processes that are relevant for this session. So I no longer see all the processes of the machine. Okay. If I want to see again all the processes or sessions of the machine, I only need to click it, and then I drilled up again from the session, and then I can do this again. Same with the parent, so I can always go to the host level. Once I went to the host level, now I'm seeing all the virtual machines for this specific host. The thing with this navigation is it should always show you the relatively of this drill down, which components are relevant for this drill down, and how you should proceed up and down. And we found it very useful. In addition for that, we have the breadcrumbs here that should always help you to go over your steps. So it just shows me every time which step I've been to till I got to this overview. And by clicking back, I can see all my clicks up to the initial point where I started. So I go again to the sessions and again to the machine, up all the way to my initial drill down. Okay. So I'm going to exit this drill down now, and I'm going to quickly review with you guys new features we have with 802. So of course, with the rapid adoption of DAS application from EUC solutions as well, we wanted to supply you guys with everything, with all the solutions we can. So we integrated into Citrix Cloud as well. So it's no longer only supports Zen Desktop on-prem. We also support the desktop as service of Citrix Cloud. And now you guys seeing the elements of Citrix Cloud here in the topology, along with other elements that are not related to Citrix Cloud, because I have three kinds of solutions right here. So Solve displays me all the required elements. I have a Citrix Cloud environment and two Zen Desktop sites. But the Cloud Connectors, of course, is relevant only for my single Citrix Cloud environment here, and it's unique and new for this integration. We summarize up all the Cloud Connectors you have in this environment. We have a status of it coming up from the Citrix Cloud environment. I can help you understand and troubleshoot some of the problems that might be raised with this component. We will display the resource location as well on the sessions and machines level as well. So if you feel like you want to filter out, if you have many resource locations, you want to filter out and focus on a specific resource location, you can do that for Cloud Connector sessions or machines as well. Of course, we have the Citrix Cloud environment added to the tree as well, so I can see it here, right here, okay? So it kind of looks like the Gen desktop, but the cloud connectors is the main difference from the broker ones, as they are irrelevant for this solution. This is mainly new and integrated here for Solve and the real-time console as well, and can be used from 8.2 and up. Now I want to cover up one more feature coming up from 8.2. So I'm going to switch to my Horizon solution. And now when I switched to my Horizon solution, you guys can see two new objects. So we decided to extend the Horizon functionality for the RDSH components as well. So we have the farms and the application pools coming from Horizon side. So farms is, of course, is the RDSH farms, and you can view the sessions and application reports related to these farms. All this functionality is available on the tree as well. So we have this new objects added to the Horizon environment, sorry, right here. So I have the farms and RDSH, and in this example, I have an RDS desktop pool, which is directly connected to the farm. And yeah, so this is a new one as well, coming on the new version. Yeah, so that's about it.
All right, so let me hand it over to Trenton. Trenton, are you there? Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so there you go.
Since when 1:30 a.m. is morning? That's an interesting observation.
All right. Just a quick check. Can you see the solve screen?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So just want to talk about Solve and want to talk about some of the features that we can offer in Solve. So I'm super excited to show you guys this. This is really cool with what we can do with Solve. So I'm going to start by just moving to the discovery view. Okay, sorry. And what I'm going to do is, yeah, I'm just going to jump straight into the processes view here. And one of the things that we can see with Solve is we've got the new grid view down at the bottom. So this is showing all the classic stats that you're probably familiar with the real-time console. So obviously we've got the same columns that you can see, the name, the stress level, user, et cetera, et cetera. We have all the columns that are relevant to the particular views that are listed here. So they should be very similar to what you see in the console today. For these particular views, you can actually customize the columns. So you can see that we actually have these widgets that allow you to drag, and you can see the display updating in real time. So that's really cool that we can actually do these updates to the grid view within Solve itself. As well, a new feature that's really exciting is we have the ability to now filter on each of these columns. So this is above and beyond what the ControlUp console offers. So with Solve, I can click on this and I can immediately start typing a name. So we're looking for a name, is like, is not like. So you can see there's some Boolean logic here. So for this particular one, like let's look for like MC Shield, and we'll just filter on that. And boom, we can see all the MC Shields in our environment. So I don't know if you noticed before, but we had 7,000 processes, and filtering was just immediate, and it's just right there. So this is going to help with discoverability within your environment. So if you're looking for, a particular process, so if you're in healthcare and you've got like Epic, for example, you can just filter on Epic, D89 or whatever .exe, and show all your Epic processes, and you can see all the relevant stats there. As well, what we can do is we can start filtering on other columns as well. So we see me filtering on the name here, but maybe I want to filter on like memory. So we're maybe troubleshooting a particular issue, and we want to filter for when processes are greater than, let's say, 480 megabytes. So as soon as I hit this, boom, we can now see that we've got all the MC Shield processes that have this particular filters matched. So now we've got multiple filters being applied. So if you can imagine, millions of processes in your environment for those really large organizations, how you can combine multiple filters to find the objects that are of relevance to you. As well, what we also offer is these additional features up here. So this is for the grid view. So I'm going to start with this feature here, this expanding the grid view. This will actually disable the aggregate view, or hide it, I should say, and make the grid view a little bit bigger. So now we can see a little bit more data. If we want, we can actually increase it and go grid full screen. So now this will hide the topology view, and this will maximize our grid view real estate. But even looking at this, like we can see that there's all this white space associated with it, so we can actually increase our information density on the screen here by looking at by clicking these three little dots, and this chooses the type of view that you want. So default is obviously the web-based language that's actually got a lot of white space. I can switch it to comfortable, which decreases that amount of white space, or I can go to compact, which actually maximizes our information density that we can see. So just from a quick glance of top to bottom, we can see how our environment is performing. So we think that's pretty cool and pretty powerful. And this little widget here, just to the left of it, is actually our grid column picker. So you saw how I was able to, select a column and drag it based on the preferences that I wanted. Well, within here, we can actually modify it as well. So you can choose, additional columns that you want to see listed. And as well, we can actually, X them out. So if we want them not to be within the display, and we can actually still drag them here. So you can see how we can still manipulate and modify the display of the grid view, all from within ControlUp. So we think that's pretty cool, and that's a pretty powerful feature for navigating and seeing the grid view and seeing and understanding how this works. So now I'm going to switch over to the machines view. So obviously in ControlUp Solve, it's super simple. We just click on it and boom, we've changed our focus now. So we've changed from processes over to machines. And so again, now we can see all of those objects that we're monitoring. If we choose, we can click on the focus like Yoni and Shai showed, where we can now adjust our display to only show those relevant objects within this scope. So that's pretty cool, pretty powerful. And then as well, there's a free text search, which searches all of the text within the display, and it'll actually only show you relevant text. So if you don't want to filter like on name, or you've got different things that you want to just search for within your entire environment, like let's say I'm filtering on all of ControlUp demo, but I only want to see Windows 10 machines. Well, instead of applying a filter on the operating system, I can do it here. Right, and now it's going to show me all Windows 10 machines, and maybe I don't want to see enterprise, maybe I just only want to see pro machines. So boom, if I just enter that text, it searches across all the text that's there and just displays it for you. So if I switch over to like user sessions, and if I do the free text search here, boom, we can see that how quickly we can actually search for these objects now. So searching for user sessions, super fast, super easy, super powerful.
And I see you keep spying on me, Trent, but that's fine. That's so.
You're an easy one to look for. You got some great stuff in there. So for discovering user sessions, we think this is super powerful, super easy. Like just Solve in the way that it can actually handle massive number of objects is probably one of its biggest features. And you can see how quickly we're actually able to drill down, sort, and actually filter all of this data that you have within your environment. So we think that's pretty amazing. So switching back to like the web servers view here, I've got some additional features that we're really excited to share and show. So if we're looking at all this statistics and all this data here, if we're running into a problem, you might want to take a glance at like, well, what happened yesterday, or what happened up to 3 days ago, or a week ago, or a month ago, or something like that. And within the ControlUp real-time console and within Solve, within these views, you can see that these are all just real-time statistics. So they're very, very recent, up to, I think, 2 minutes worth of performance data is being shown within these little graph views. But if you want to get that more in depth, you generally would go to Insights and try to find the machine and get that information from there. Well, within Solve, we can actually see that data just at a glance. So if I hover over these columns now that have performance data that are being uploaded into Insights, we could see a new icon appears. And that's this little clock icon that's going to show us a glance of the historical performance information of that particular object. So if I click on this guy, we can see the historical performance information on this particular machine. And so for our web servers, if we imagine that like we got some tickets that were occurring, that people are complaining that we have like some website slowness, well, we can just go to that object now and click on it. And because ControlUp Solve is a SaaS-based tool, it can integrate with our other SaaS-based tool, which is ControlUp Insights. and we can actually pull that information from there and display it within the Solve UI in just a couple clicks. So again, the range is like 24 hours, 48 hours, or we can go back to 72 hours. So we can see, for this particular web server that it looks like there's a pretty, reoccurring pattern of problems with it. It looks like, we're going up to about like 100 CPU or pretty close to during certain times of the day. So if we want to expand on this, there's this little widget here where if we click on it, this will take us to our historical view that shows us essentially how the performance of this particular machine over time. So again, now we can choose a little bit more expanded time. So 24 hours, 72 hours, 1 week, 1 month worth. We've got the two different views that you can see here. We've got a grid view and a stacked view. So if I click on the stacked view, you can now see that overlay, that top to bottom, where you can get that just using your eye. You can see that, as CPU utilization goes up, we can see that memory utilization fluctuates a bit more. We can see IO utilization occurs during this exact same time period. So we can see that, perhaps there's a scheduled task, maybe there's a backup task that's being run, or something like that that's happening, every day, it looks like. So just at a glance, we're able to pull this information out and help assist us on our troubleshooting journey. So if we wanted to look at multiple machines, though, we actually have the ability to select them. So hovering over to the left of the machines, you can see that this little checkbox comes up, and we can actually select multiple machines. And what we can do with this is, if we click this widget here, this will view the history of all of these machines at once. So now we're connecting into Solve, we're pulling out that information again, but now for 3 different machines. So if we wanted to do a comparison, we can do that at a glance. And so again, we think that's a pretty powerful feature. And even within here, we've got the same sort of ControlUp Insights type feature where we can actually click on an object to hide or show that data. So if we wanted to see that in the overlay, that's again a pretty powerful feature. So we think that's pretty cool. And again, 24 hours, 72 hours, 1 week, 1 month, so you can expand out that information and get it just in a heartbeat. So we think that's pretty powerful, and we see a lot of potential here to help you out with that in your organization.
I would just add to that trend that this feature here, like we call it like historical troubleshooting. This was like the first time where we connected the Solve platform to the Insights historical database. And as you can see, it's working pretty great. And we are planning to continuously expand that. So unless I'm mistaken, we already integrate historical data for computers and hosts using the same feature that Trent is showing right now. And we are planning to migrate eventually all the Insights reports into Solve. So eventually we'll have Solve as a single web-based solution to access both historical data via troubleshooting, like we see here, but also for the full-blown reports as well.
Right. So super awesome stuff. And then as well, just to build up on the glances feature again, you can see that even within the aggregate graphs, we can actually look at the historical data as well. So clicking on this takes us to that snapshot of how all of these machines averaged out. So anything that you have in focus, these glances for these aggregate views can show you how all of these resources operated over time. So again, super powerful. Okay, and then as well, a feature I'd like to show. So even things like system free space on system drive. So this is data that we've collected and we actually upload to Insights, but we've never exposed it in Insights before. But now, because of the integration into Solve, we can actually expose some of these little hidden features and the hidden data that has been collected in the past and brought up into Insights. So that's pretty powerful. But if we're looking at like even these particular machines, we actually have this other one here. So these little arrows actually allows you to navigate. So this is kind of like our virtual expert that we have in the ControlUp real-time console. Will help us navigate to a particular view or drill down, and it'll actually sort it based on the information that we're looking at. So again, looking at memory utilization, if I click on this, we can see that now we're investigating a particular issue. So memory on this particular server, it's highlighted the columns of interest. It's automatically sorted it. So again, that same super simple way of troubleshooting issues within your environment, ControlUp Solve is offering to us. So we think that's pretty powerful, and we think that's pretty exciting for that particular feature. So this is essentially the grid view interface and what it does, and we're obviously very excited for all of you to be adopting Solve and to be using it and helping explore and see all the performance data in your environment to help you troubleshoot and make your environment run as best as it possibly can. So with that, I'm going to move on to the next amazing feature that we're adding to ControlUp Solve. So this is actually going to be called Centralized Auditing. And what it does is every action that you take, like within the ControlUp Management Console, you can do some pretty powerful stuff in there. You can reboot machines, you can log off users, you can run a script action to get some kind of output like we have with our Analyze Log on Duration. And all of this is actually collected in Centralized Auditing. So if I click on the settings button here, we can see that we have this new audit log. So if I click on this, and you can see this feature is currently in preview, so we think it's stable enough for you to take a look at what your environment uploads for data or that you want to capture for auditing for data, so you can take a look and explore this feature, but it is still in preview, so it is probably still undergoing some development. All right, well, looking at our entire organization, we can see that we've got different actions that are occurring within our centralized auditing. So we can see that for this one, it looks like an automated action occurred. It trimmed the process working sets, which is part of our optimization that we can do automatically for when you add ControlUp into your environment. So for sessions, we can actually see that this session went into a disconnected state. Actually, several of them went into a disconnected state. This one went into an active state. And we can see, what it was and where it went to when these scripts run. So if we click on this, we can see the output of the script itself. So for this particular one, session 9 was in an active state, so adjusted the process priorities to normal. If I click on this one, we can see that this session went into a disconnected state and then got adjusted again. So as well, what else we can do within here? So all of these little columns are, again, reorganizable, so we can drag them around if we wanted to. They're also filterable and they're sortable. So right now we're sorting on date, but if I wanted to, I can choose, like instead of automated actions, maybe I want to see actual actions that occurred in the console. So I can just choose the console, hit apply. And now we can see all the actions that particular users did. So this particular user was on this box and he executed this process, so kill process. So if we wanted to know, did a process get terminated? Did a machine get rebooted? Did somebody, disconnect the session on somebody else? We can actually see.
I dare you, Trent, to pronounce the name of the user that killed the process, man. Let's see.
I don't think I'm going to try.
Maybe our European friends will be able to do that. Sorry.
I'll stick with Felix. Felix for sure. That's the name I can pronounce. Yeah, and so same sort of thing. So you can see, we can see here, we can see the script action that this individual ran. So we can actually see the script and actually audit that ourselves if we wanted to. And again, we can see the output of all the script actions. So going back in time, if you wanted to see, did someone RDP to a machine? Did somebody, again, run a script action, maybe do some kind of process? All of this will get uploaded into the audit log, and it'll show you the before and after and any output that might have occurred. So again, super powerful, really cool feature. And I know for organizations that want to know, what's happening in it, so that way finger pointing doesn't happen. Did I accidentally reboot a machine, but we don't know why it got rebooted? Now we can go back to the audit log and say, okay, did someone execute a reboot on that particular machine, and who did it, and did they run it under a different set of credentials or what? And so all of that is now available in the audit log. And then as well, so if I clear all the filter here, you can see we can actually adjust the audit log based on scope. So instead of looking at the entire organization, we can look at a particular one. So let me try to filter on Zen Desktop. Okay, so let's try the app servers and undo this filter. Nope. Just have to find one that has some more interesting data where people were running stuff.
Yeah, probably.
So like this guy. Yeah, so we're looking at the machine here. We can see the requesting computer. So it looks like Yair was doing some kind of work. He pinged a machine to see if it was up. we can see that he then tried to RDP into it. He got an error there. He tried to RDP to it again. He tried to start the remote agent. And so again, we can see all of this all within ControlUp. So if he did any further actions to remediate it, he must have done it with outside of ControlUp. So potentially he logged into the vCenter and started it as opposed to using ControlUp. But now you can kind of see that troubleshooting workflow just through the audit log. I think that's really cool and really powerful.
So thank you, Trent. I actually have a question. I'm kind of like been trying to answer most of the questions, but there was a question about latency, mostly about kind of like monitoring latency between kind of the user session and the user device, and kind of that end-to-end monitoring, both from what is possible today as well as maybe you can give us some insights about what we're working on for the future in the context of understanding the user experience end to end.
Sure. So we've got a couple different technologies that will give you that end-to-end monitoring. So we've got ControlUp, or we have our acquisition that we did earlier or late last year named Avicy, and they will have the ability to install an agent on your either BYOD device if you want to force your users to do that, or if you supply like laptops or desktops or something, you can apply Avicy there, and then we can actually monitor that information through that particular product. Through the real-time console, we're in development of a feature called Client Metrics, and what this is a plugin that users will install alongside their Citrix receiver, their Horizon agent, or their Microsoft WVD remote desktop agent, and it'll create a virtual channel that'll actually pull some relevant statistics from the end user all the way to the ControlUp console. And obviously not just the ControlUp console, it'll come into Solve as well. And then from there, you'll have that complete end-to-end picture on how the performance is on your user's endpoint versus how it is, or versus the metrics that you actually see within ControlUp. And I don't have anything ready there. It's still something in development, but I think we're expecting that next quarter as well. So auditing is one of those things where it's more of a reactive way of viewing. Something has occurred and you want to go find out what led to it or who caused that. And one of the things that we have is we actually have the ability to be proactive in this, right? So if a resource stops becoming available, we can get alerted because we have something actually testing and making sure that resource is available. And with that feature is actually able to be demoed by Joel today, and that is our Scoutbees.
Yes, thank you, Trent. And when I'll pull that up here, let me just make myself the presenter. I actually maybe have a question for probably Yoni, maybe Shai as well. So there were a bunch of questions about the kind of like console versus solve, right? Is there, is solve everything? Can I get solve everywhere? What's going to happen with the console? What is kind of our thinking as well as our concrete plan there?
So thanks, Joe. I'll cover it in high level. So I like to. I'm not sure it's the best example, but I think many of our audience is familiar with the way VMware slowly migrated from their C# .NET VMware management tool into the new HTML5 vCenter console. So in a way, it's quite similar, right? So we have our .NET console, our real-time management console. It's here to stay, at least in the next few years. It has a very broad feature set, and it will be included in any ControlUp version we will release in the next few years, right? It has a massive feature set. If you think about the incidence pane, the remote desktop pane, everything we do there, it's pretty massive. Now, having said that, we are slowly but massively moving things into Solve, whether it's existing features or new features, and we think that quite soon, I would say even today, to consume data, Solve is already probably the better option, right? Especially for larger customers. Soon enough, hopefully in Q3 or something, we're going to add the ability to run actions via Solve. And I think once this will happen, again, later this year, then I imagine that most customers, most of the time, will use Solve as their primary day-to-day end-user computing operational tool. right? The .NET console will still be there mainly for configurations, whether it's to add or remove resources or configure the security policy, because it will take a while to migrate all these features. But for now, think of it as a side-by-side solutions where Solve already shines in regards to visualizing data for large customers and all the dashboard features and Scoutbees and everything, which is simply doesn't exist in the real-time console, and the real-time console is therefore a subset of features which is still not supported. But rest assured, it will be included in all the upcoming releases in the next couple of years.
Okay, thank you, Yoni. And if I have time, I am going to talk a little bit about our proactive synthetic monitoring with Scoutbees, but I do have another question, which is maybe a good one for Shai, which is about APIs, right? So Solve is now there. What is our plan to, make APIs available so that people can query, kind of real-time data, maybe some of that 72-hour, 1-month historical data, or once we move more of our historical reporting into Solve, kind of like, having access through APIs to the historical data.
Okay, so thanks, Joel. So I think with the API, it's running in a separated thread to the historical data migration into Solve. So we can expect and see more information from insights inside Solve in the upcoming few months. And in the meanwhile, we're working on an open API. But the first phase of the open API will be mainly the real-time data. Okay, of course, this is in the work in progress, so we will get to the historical data as well. But this is definitely something we're working on for later this year. So applying an open API to query the real-time data or integrate to different systems by the users.
All right, thank you. Sorry, it helps if I unmute myself. Okay, so we only have a few minutes left, so I want to kind of take you really fast through our proactive synthetic monitoring tool called Scoutbees. And as Yoni already highlighted, from the Solve interface, you will now be able to access Scoutbees directly. So it used to be you had to go to scoutbees.io and log in there. So we now do single sign-on to your Scoutbees account, and there is this new icon where you can access it through the Solve interface. For those people who are not familiar with this, so Scoutbees is really focused at proactive availability testing. So that basically means it's using synthetic logins to test the availability of, for example, your EUC applications and desktops, so your Citrix apps or your Horizon delivered apps. But we also added some new functionality 2 weeks ago around testing network resources, web applications, and SaaS applications. So we only have a few minutes left, and I do have some other things to share. So what I recommend you to do is go to our YouTube channel. We actually have a couple of recorded sessions on Scoutbees, but to kind of quickly walk you through that, it's super easy to use. Right? So it's a SaaS-based platform. So when you use it for the first time, you obviously get a blank page. But to actually set up a test or a test definition, you will create something which we call a scout. And when you create a scout, you get to first choose, hey, is this a test for a Citrix or Horizon app or desktop, or is this a network test? If it is for Citrix or Horizon, the first thing you need to choose after starting the creation of the scout is to select a hive. Now, a hive is our word for really the location where the test will initiate from. You can do that through one of our cloud hives. So out of the box, you literally can set up one of these tests and start your synthetic testing in like less than 5 minutes. But if you say like, hey, I want to test internally, so I want to kind of like mimic a user transaction or login transaction on the inside of my network, you can actually set up your own hive. So instead of using our cloud hive, you will basically provision a Windows machine, install the Hive software on there, join it into your Scoutbees account, and you will then be able to select that. So as you can see here, my first hive in this account, that is one that lives in my data center. But for POCs or for really for the most scalability, the cloud hives are there for you to consume. So you can see you can select the location. In the case of EUC, you will select the type. So is it Citrix? Is it VMware? Do you connect through the gateway service or your own gateways? Then you would fill out the connection details, the credentials, possibly multi-factor authentication. And after that, once you fill that out, you will select the application or desktop you would like to test, set the test interval, give it a name, and then you are done with creating the test itself. Now, once it starts testing, obviously it starts producing results. So if I look at some of these, you see here, for example, the test results of one of these EUC desktops we have. And you can, of course, go into more details, see what the results were, how long each stage of the connection process took. So very easy to use, very easy to set up. And obviously, most importantly, you can also set an alert to one of these tests. So it's important because you don't want to have to go in here every time to see if everything is okay. You want to make sure that if something goes wrong with one of these tests, which means that the application is not available, that you get notified, and you can do that through email or through webhooks. The final thing I want to show before we're going to wrap up here is our new network scouts. And I see it still says beta, which is not true. So I need to reach out to our product team to kind of like remove that label. But as you can see, yeah, it looks the same, right? You just select network. You still can choose from test these network resources from the outside or from inside your network. And as you can see, there's currently 3 available tests. You can do a port test, a ping test as we call it, to any resource. You can do a trace route test to any resource, either internally or externally. You can do a DNS lookup test, or you can do an HTTP or HTTPS test, either with GET or POST commands. And as you can see, you can configure a lot. So you can not only just say like, hey, yeah, does this website load, but you can even look for success codes, right? There's the 200 or 300 or 400, they exist. You can even look into the response. So when this test runs, now, if there's certain information in the header, and again, right, once you configure these tests, you set an alert policy that can alert you if there's an issue with the availability of your internal web resources or network resources, as well as external resources. And if you were paying attention, there was a slide mentioned by Yoni at the beginning, who talked about Office 365. So you can see that we actually have a test on portal.office.com, which runs, I think, every 1 minute. And there were actually some failures earlier, but it becomes, of course, important that you get notified so you can quickly address it before it's going to affect user productivity. So with that said, that's probably my fastest Scoutbees walkthrough I've done for a while. We don't have time for more questions, but I think I answered all the questions that appeared online. I want you to go to ControlUp.com if you want to start, with ControlUp. You can get a free functional 21-day trial on ControlUp.com. Just look for the orange button. We have a great blog, so everything we discussed today, we have blog posts on, so we published those in the last 2 weeks. So go to ControlUp.com resources blog. And one thing I wanted to promote is the independent EUC survey by VDI Like a Pro. So that's nothing to do with ControlUp, but it is important that we as a community understand what is going on. So go to bit.ly/EUC 2021 to answer the questions. And with that said, we are at the top of the hour. Thank you very much for attending, and keep your eyes open for an email with more information. And of course, thank you, Yoni, Shai, and Trenton for presenting.
Thank you, Joe. And thanks. I think either you will go to sleep or go to party right now, depending on
more coffee for me. Trenton maybe goes to bed.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate that.
Thanks, everyone.